So welcome to this week's edition of Sentinel Africa's October Cybersecurity Awareness Month series. And in this session, I will be talking about shadow IT. So what is shadow IT? Shadow IT essentially is the use of information technology systems, software, application, or even devices without the explicit approval of the IT department. So how does then shadow IT come to exist in an environment? Ideally, and staff will end up downloading applications or even software that are out of the standard build authorized by the organization to help them to do their work easier. So say, for example, you have a lot of data, you want to do analytics on it. Instead of using an Excel document, you would rather download an application that helps you to do the data analytics faster and even do some visualization. So that is an example of shadow IT. So then what are some of the risks associated with shadow IT in an environment? So number one, whenever you download shadow IT or these other applications that are not allowed in an environment, they almost always have potentially unwanted applications with them. So in this case, you could say, for example, download that particular application to help you with the analytics, but at the point of installation, it installs other unwanted applications. A good example is downloading an application that downloads a crypto miner on your PC, and then what happens is that the other potentially unwanted application ends up taking advantage of the compute power and resources on an endpoint, and therefore making it to become inefficient. The other thing is also the downloading of these shadow ICTs also installs malware in a PC, on an end user's PC. So because you're downloading them from a site which you do not know, because most of the time they tend to be free or even open source, so downloading and installing them could end up also installing malware in your PC, which could then be used to compromise not only one person, but then could spread laterally and also vertically in an environment, leading to compromise, a very huge compromise of the entire environment. And then lastly, shadow ICTs also have inherent vulnerabilities. So where we have planned for patching, for critical security patches for software that we have allowed, if you have applications that have not been authorized in an environment, then that means that the ICT department or information security department also has to think about patching for the non-critical applications which you have installed on your endpoint. So these inherent vulnerabilities can also be exploited to also compromise the entire environment. And so by virtue of that, then you find that shadow ICTs introduce a very huge risk and in fact are a huge contributor to successful exploitations in an organization. So then how can you prevent against such occurrences? The first one is to, of course, have a standard build. So a standard build is when we are deploying a laptop or even a server in an environment in an organization, what are the baseline applications we need? That is in terms of the operating system and the applications that you need to be able to do your job adequately. So that is a standard build. So we have a standard build for endpoints, for workstations, for servers, prior to deployment to production, and also prior to giving them to users, such that at the end of the day, whatever is hosted on endpoints and servers in an environment is what has actually been approved. Then the other second thing is also to restrict privileges of end users from them being able to install applications on their endpoints. How can you do this? One, if you are in an environment that is centrally controlled, you can actually do that via denying administrative rights on endpoints. This way, users will not be able to download and install applications without needing explicit permissions from someone who's an IT administrator. And then also the other thing is to block USB ports. USB ports also are a huge contributor to all this madness. So blocking USB ports essentially maybe through an enterprise antivirus program, making sure that, again, USB ports are not used to install and run applications from an endpoint.